Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll call you right back podcast.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. Special week. You got me. Sorry about it, but you got me. I had someone scheduled but they had to cancel on me last minute, and I like to do some prep before my podcast, so I didn't want to just pull someone random in here this week and try to, just throw something together, because I didn't want to do wrong by the guest or by me or by you guys. You know what I mean? You guys listen to me every week. I want the podcast to be good. So I'm gonna give you a short episode this week and kind of talk about the things that I got coming up in my book. So this week, before I get into what I get into, on Sunday, you could stop down at Streets on Carson for a great cause. Streets on Carson is hosting an art show called For the Children that benefits Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Pittsburgh. Big Brothers and Big Sisters is an organization that helps youth achieve their full potential. But Matt at Streets on Carson is putting on an art show at his restaurant that has, an incredible amount of artists in there. You got dope-ass people like Narf, Matt Spar, Dirty Bird, so many more people. But you got to go down there, check out all the good work, and get involved with it. Buy some shit. It's going to a good cause, and you're helping out kids. Like, why wouldn't you want to help out kids, right? What's better? Keep kids off the streets. Streets on Carson is for the children, and all these artists right here for the children. So go down there and make someone happy. Another thing I wanted to talk about before I get into what I'm getting into. I went to dinner this weekend with my wife. She hit me up and she was like, "Yo, I'm gonna make a date for us. We got a date for Friday night at Meat and Potatoes." Meat and Potatoes, for people that don't know, is they're a nicer restaurant. I would say they're considered nicer. Down in the city, I can't remember the dude's name who owns all of them, but you hear that name and I don't know. I guess it's like a collared shirt night. I wear T-shirts a lot. For Meat and Potatoes, I put on a collared shirt. Had on the Violent Gentleman collared shirt, and we went down there for a real nice night. And I just wanted to kind of talk about my experience down there, because I'm not saying it was bad, but it was a little bit different. Meat and Potatoes, we walked down there, we get in, it wasn't too busy. I looked at the menu, and it looked crazy. Like, you could tell it's about to be some crazy shit. So I got an appetizer. I got some tartare, steak tartare, which was, for people that don't know what that is, it's raw meat. It's dry-aged beef that is minced up, and it had some other accoutrement on there, some dip, not some dip, but some, I guess you would say like maybe an au jus or a garlic maybe, but I don't know what the hell it was. It was good, though. The tartare I was really, really, really impressed with. It almost had like a salmon or like a sushi type texture, and it had a really, really interesting taste, but it was really good. It was served with like a smoked egg and some pickled onions and shit, so me and my wife really liked that as an appetizer. So we looked at the menu and we're deciding on what to eat down there. And, Meat and Potatoes, you think like, you're probably going to order like a steak or something, right? So top of the menu, they got this thing called Meat and Potatoes for Two, or Build Your Own Meat and Potatoes for Two, or whatever the hell it's called. And we look at it and I'm like, damn, like, it has like a 45-ounce ribeye, and then it has like some a la carte shit that you could add to it. So I was like, damn, that looks crazy. My wife was like, oh, what do you think about that? And I'm like, let's get it. Why not? I'm not a big steak guy. I've never ordered a steak at a restaurant. If I'm at a restaurant and I'm ordering, it ain't going to be a steak. God, sorry. I guess it's un-American that I don't like a big old fat steak, but I'd rather have some chicken or some fucking ribs. You know what I mean? I'm a chicken strips and fries guy. You know what I mean? I don't care how old I get. I'll be 70 eating chicken strips and fries. But we got this steak. You know, I stepped out of my comfort zone. I was like, you know, it's nice. We're at a steak place. I'm going to get this steak with my wife. So we're sitting there waiting, and we order this steak for two. And she goes, oh, I just want to let you know it's going to be about 30 minutes because it's a very big piece of meat. And I was like, geez. So we didn't know what to expect. We're sitting there talking, you know, having a good time, talking about all kinds of funny shit, enjoying the atmosphere. And then this motherfucker brings out a literal full half of a dining room table, just cut in half. And no, it's not that big, obviously, but it's a full size cutting board. And on this cutting board was a piece of meat that was the size of a Pomeranian, and that is not an exaggeration. This piece of meat was huge. It was huge. And I did not expect it. I didn't know what to expect there. But like I said, big-ass cutting board. On top of this cutting board was this piece of meat that was literally probably like a foot in diameter, maybe 10 inches in diameter, and it was probably 3 inches thick. And you're just like, holy shit. And we got some black truffle butter on the top of it, which was unreal. You know, a little side of horseradish. And I'm just like, damn, I was excited. It was like a spectacle. It was a tomahawk steak. For people who don't know what a tomahawk steak is, it's, imagine that big ass piece of meat, and then you got a fucking arm of a bone. You know, imagine a little 8-year-old's arm. Cut that thing off and stick it on the side of this piece of meat. That's how big this bone was. And it was just like a spectacle. I was just like, Jesus. Like, and we just had that appetizer. I was like, there's not a chance we're eating all this. But, and so besides the Pomeranian-sized piece of meat, you look to the left, and there's a Jack Russell Terrier-size mountain of potatoes, poutine fried potatoes, and you're just like, nope, not eating all this. And then on the top, there's a Dachshund-size bone full of bone marrow, and then there is a newborn puppy-size helping of the best greens I've ever had in my entire life. I don't know what they did, but their greens were just unreal. And the potatoes were unreal too. But we start ripping into this meal. We're just like, where the hell do you even start? So I start cutting into this prime rib. And, you know, like I said, I'm not a steak guy. And I got some good pieces of meat out of it. But to be 100% with you, because I'm 100% with people on this podcast, I really wasn't impressed with the meat. I was kind of not pleased. I mean, I don't know I know there's 1,000 different cuts of meat. I know each piece of meat got different fucking characteristics, but I thought this prime rib was crazy gristly. Like, the pieces of meat that were great were absolutely great. That had no gristle or fat in it, I was like, yep, these are like butter. It's like it's melting in your mouth. But, you know, you had to cut through a lot of this shit, and they gave you some doll ass knife. But you know, it's not that I've talked on here before. Like, I don't shit on these like Yelp restaurants, or like I don't Yelp people. I don't give people bad reviews about shit. And it's not that like this was a bad experience or anything. I just wasn't, it wasn't my cup of tea. You know, it's a gristly piece of meat. I don't like a fatty piece of meat. Some people prefer that, but that's not to say that it wasn't good. Like, the experience was cool, but that piece of meat wasn't for me really. But anyway, I mean, like, after we were done like gorging ourselves that night with all this shit, we still had an entire meal left over to take home. So we ended up frying that bitch up next morning and had a real good, steak, potato, and egg lunch, or brunch, if you will. But still a good time to go out there and go out on a date with your wife. You know what I mean? We don't get to go out too much. I mean, we do go out, but like nowhere nice like that. If we're hitting a restaurant and shit like that, we're hitting Chipotle or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Nothing too crazy, but we were like, fuck it. We went out, and as far as the price and the bill, it wasn't too crazy. I expected to spend some money down there. You know what I mean? It's. I think our tartare was like 16, I think, and I think that was worth it. I would pay that again for that because I thought it was really good, and they gave you some good. They gave you a good helping of it. The actual meal for two, I think we paid it was $75 for the meat, and each a la carte was like maybe $8 or something like that. So we got that meat, which was 75, and then potatoes and greens, which was another 16. So that's 91. And then we got some truffle sauce, which was like $4, I think. So that's 95. And then we got a side of horseradish, which was like another $3. So that's like 98. Throw some tax in there, you're looking at like 115 with a tip. If you're not a cheap motherfucker, you're looking at like, I don't know, 135, 140 if you're feeling generous. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I think we got out of there for under 150. It was a nice meal. You know, that was the only complaint I had. Other than that, the greens, I would have ate a fucking cereal bowl, a mixing bowl full of greens. That's how, a wheelbarrow, if you will. That's how good it was. I was kind of blown away with that. The bone marrow is always good. Like, bone marrow is kind of weird to me, but I don't know. It was pretty good. But the meat and potato shit was a good time. But the reason that everyone is here this week, this is by far the biggest week in, actually, this is the build-up to the biggest week of I'll Call You Right Back history thus far, because you already know I'm going to keep climbing from here. But whenever I started this podcast about a year and a half ago, I did a list that I put in my phone, and it was basically just a list of people in the city that I really wanted to strive to talk to. You know, it had all kinds of different names on there. You had, you know, Rick Seebeck's on there. You got people that own restaurants that are on there. You know, I'm not revealing everyone yet, but at the top of that list, there was two names that I wanted to talk to in the city in the city of Pittsburgh, and that's Mikey and Big Bob. Mikey and Big Bob are, I mean, if Pittsburgh had a Mount Rushmore, you would have Mr. Rogers. You would have, who else on there? Sidney Crosby. You would have, I don't really care for baseball or football really too much, so I'm not going to put anyone on there. But you get you'd have the ketchup bottle, and you'd have a Permani sandwich, Turner's carton, and then right next to both of them, you'd have Mikey and Big Bob. They are just, I mean, some of the best people in the city, but they host a morning radio show on 96.1 called The Morning Freak Show, which I have been a listener of for the last, like, I think 9 years now. I was trying to think about, like, when I really started listening to them, and I think it was whenever I was going to school. I was driving from McKeesport all the way out to Oakdale, which is, I mean, it's like 55 minutes there and like an hour and 45 back with the fucking traffic. But that's really where I started listening to them, was in the morning. They have a morning show. It starts from 6 to 10 or 6 to noon, one of them. But, you know, I would be driving early and I would just be hearing these dudes talking about poop, talking about, you know, anything you could think of. These guys talk about Disney movies, poop. I don't know why I can only think of Disney movies and poop right now, but it fits for sure. I'm telling you. But I mean, like, they did segments. They just had a really, really refreshing way of doing the morning radio. You know what I mean? You're thinking of like, hey, this is Fast Ricky, and you're listening to the new hits. And that is whack as hell. And that's not what they do. These guys are just like best friends. They're from Detroit, and I didn't know too much about them besides for listening to them on the radio. You kind of get a taste of how someone is by how they're talking and how they talk about things and how they speak. And, you know, I just didn't know any real details about them. And I feel that a lot of people in Pittsburgh felt the same way because, you know, I've been listening to them for like 9 years. And, you know, I've met them numerous times and talked to them numerous times, but I really couldn't tell you too much about them. And I was real interested to get them in. So like I said, they were at the top of my list. And I'd say I probably hit them up maybe 7 or 8 months ago. And I didn't hear nothing back. That, you know, they probably got a crazy DM full of just psychopaths if you ever listen to their show. If you listen to their show or read any tweets that they get, you know, they got some crazy listeners. Very, very weird people, including me. Not to say anything about that, but I got a random message about, I don't know, probably a month and a half ago from Mikey that said, yo, dude, I know you've asked me a while ago. He was like, let's get together and let's make this happen. And I was like, oh, shit. This is about to happen because, like, you know, over the years I've won some, like, they always do giveaways. They always, like, do cool shit to involve their fans. And years ago they did something called the pen section, and that was my first experience meeting them. Listeners called in. The Pittsburgh Penguins gave them an entire section at the arena, and listeners called in and tried to, you know, pitch why they should get tickets to come. And I remember I was driving to school, and they were like, "Oh yeah, just call in and tell us a reason that you want to come." And I don't even think I remember what I said, but I remember I called and it was just yelling. I was like, I got a cowbell and I'll bang that thing till the cows come home. I was like, if you put me in there, you'll get 100% out of me, you know, some shit like that. And they were like, all right, you're good. And I tell you, I mean, you know, I've been to a lot of Penguin games. There has never, ever been an experience like there was the night at the first Freak Show pen section. And we talk a lot about that next week, so I'm gonna leave that rest up to the next week. But just really great guys. I mean, you know, I met them up Seven Springs. You know, they sit there and they chill with all their listeners. They do Stuff-A-Bus. If people don't know what Stuff-A-Bus is, probably one of the best things that happens in the city of Pittsburgh. Monday after Black Friday, Mikey and Bob get a RV, and they just, you know, they live in the Robinson Town Center or Plaza, whatever the hell it's called. They live in there for a week, and they fill up school buses with toys that are donated for Marines, Toys for Tots. And it's just like, you know, every year they'll surpass their previous mark. And I think this year they were up until like 60. It's like 60 buses plus of toys for children. And it's like, these guys don't have to do that. And they're such great people. And the fact that they're so funny and they're so real, and that they, you know, they're goofy. You know, I'm goofy. I like goofy people. It was so awesome to have this experience. So they hit me up and they were like, let's make this happen. So it was back and forth a little bit trying to set up a day, and it was finally set in stone. And it was last week, and man, I was preparing. I was so damn nervous, just thinking of shit, you know, thinking of how I wanted to do this, thinking of how I wanted this to happen. I never interview more than one person at a time, so I was super nervous because, you know, Mikey and Big Bob, there's two people, and I just really didn't want to like fuck up my first try with two guests. I really wanted to come correct because, you know, these guys didn't have to spend time with me. They didn't have to agree to do this. But, you know, so, you know, three nights before, I'm just nervous, writing down shit in my notebook like a psychopath. Any funny thing that I could think of that I could bring up. And I knew that I wasn't even going to use it during the interview because I didn't even look at it during the interview. You know, it always happens like that, but I always feel that I have to over-prepare. But so here's the thing that really threw me through a loop that day. The night before, I'm like, damn, you know, I'm looking at all my equipment, and I have two E835 microphones from Sennheiser, and that's what I use all the time. Just a regular microphone. They're like $100 at Guitar Center, and you know, I had two of them, so that would have been fine. But I had a third mic, but it was a different microphone. And being the, you know, I'm anal about shit, I felt that if I would have used a third microphone that was different, I felt the sound would be different. And I just was, you know, I was panicking about that. So I was like, God damn it, I didn't even think about it before, else I would have done it days before. I wouldn't have waited till the last minute like an idiot. But I got out of work early on a Wednesday. I think I got out of work. I'm supposed to be at DVE around 11. I got out of work around like 9:30, and I immediately hightail it to Guitar Center up in Robinson. For me, that's like a 30-minute drive. So like get there around like 10:15, 10:15 with like traffic or whatever. Not really traffic. I don't know. I got there around 10:15. I remember looking, and I go to the back, and I have this old microphone, and I'm like, yo, dude, I want to trade this up for a new microphone. Can we do this? Turns out there was some fucking guy there talking about piano stands. He wanted to know what piano stand could hold the most weight and is the cheapest. He was seriously like bullshitting with this guy for hours. Not hours, obviously, but he had to be there for a minute because you could tell the dude behind the register was getting annoyed, which I'm going to put the blame on this fucking piano stand guy of the ending of the story. So Piano Man gets out of the way, and I get in there, and I'm like, yo, dude, let's trade this up. He trades it up. He has to make sure the microphone's working. He has to look up how much it's worth, and then all that shit happens, and then he pulls out a brand new E835 microphone from the glass case, puts it in my bag, and I immediately hightail it back to my house to meet Bryan, who is, Bryan's one of my great friends. He's been on the podcast. I wanted to get video done for this episode, and Bryan is the best video editor that I know, at Bryan_Scagline, if you want to check out some of his work. But I had to meet Bryan at my house, and I had to get all my shit, so I was getting this brand new microphone, and I was ripping it out of the box, about to throw it in my Pelican case to walk up in there, everything looking uniform, and I opened this fucking box, and inside was this shitty, I'm talking garbage microphone. Oh my God, my heart sunk. It was almost like a room microphone or like a drum microphone. It was probably like literally half the size of what the microphone I use looks like. And it looked like someone just tossed it in a fucking cement mixer for about 6 days. And then it looks like they dunked it in dog food and let a pack of wolves just go at it for about a week. That's how fucked up this microphone looked like. And I got back to my house at probably like 11. I don't know. Yeah, probably around 11, and I'm supposed to be up there. So I messaged Mikey, and I'm like, yo, dude, I ain't going to get there till about 11:30. I apologize. Shit happens. And I didn't tell him about the microphone. But he was like, yeah, no problem, dude. We'll be here. So I'm on my way, and I call Guitar Center. I'm like, you motherfuckers. I didn't say that, but I said it way, way nicer, but I shouldn't have, because I had to hightail it back up to Guitar Center, switch out this microphone, and then go right to DVE. Can you imagine how nervous and just, fucking annoyed I was running back and forth from my house to Robinson, DV. Oh my God, put me in a terrible mind state. I was just worried. I was getting anxiety. I had so much anxiety because this fucking microphone. And, it was just something dumb and added. So I get there, meet up with Justin Boyd, who is an incredible photographer who I got to take some really great photos of this whole process. I wanted to get photo and video because, Mikey and Big Bob, it's a big deal. Very, very big deal. This is my white whales, and I wanted to give you guys some extra content, so I got these two dudes to do some cool shit and help me out. But we get to DV, and I go up to the iHeartRadio level, and I talk to the secretary and a guy named Bryce who's there. Bryce, I guess, runs like all the website shit for iHeartRadio. And he's like, oh, you guys are doing a podcast. Would you want to use our brand new iHeartRadio podcast studio? And I was like, does the Pope wear a funny hat? Hell yeah, I want to use that. Why not? So we go into this room, and it's just this dope-ass room that they have for podcasting. It's a circle table. There's 4 microphones. There's a mixer board in there. Nice chairs, TV, pretty much everything you would ever need to do a podcast with more shit than you could ever use. And I, moral is, ran around all morning for nothing. But I don't know. I just didn't want to go up to DV and be like, yo, dude, do you got an extra mic that I could use? Because, how unprofessional is that? It's like these dudes are giving me their time, and, spoiler alert, the podcast is over 2 hours. So, I feel like that's exciting. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited whenever I see a podcast that's long. You know what that means? That means that the person and the guest got along, and it means that, this was a good conversation. And it was everything I could have ever wanted is a conversation with them. We talk about, how they started, where they come from, what their beginning was like here. We talk about, Mac Miller. They opened up about Mac Miller so much, and it was just like, it was moving. It was moving for me because, for people that don't know, it's like Justin Boyd, who I told you I got to do some photos. He took photos of Mac Miller for the last 6-7 years. And he was in this room, and Mikey just started opening up about Mac Miller, and he didn't even know. He didn't know who Justin was, and it's not like he was saying it for any certain reason. He was saying it because it meant something to him, and he talks about it, and that shit was just moving to me. I got chills right now because these two dudes are people in our city that really, really, they ain't even from Pittsburgh. I didn't even know this. My wife told me 4 days beforehand. I knew that they weren't from here, but she was like, oh yeah, they're from Detroit. And I was like, what? I don't know why I didn't think about that. It's just you hear Pittsburgh and you think of them. You hear Mikey and Bob, you think Pittsburgh. It's they've been here for 15 years doing this radio show. And people don't even think that they're not even from here. But that's how much of Pittsburgh has, put an impression in their lives and vice versa. It's man, just such a great conversation about so much shit. And of course, the entire time we're just laughing, having a good time. It's weird to hear Mikey or Bob swear. I mean, you hear them on the radio and they never swear. But there's some great stories about swearing and how they don't try to swear on the radio. We talk about endless shit, and I ain't gonna go over a list of it here, but that's the reason that we're having this episode this week. This is a short episode. I'm gonna let you guys go soon, but I wanted to come on here and kind of give you a preface to all this and how much this means to me. This is really something that I've been working for since I started this. I promise you, even before I did an episode, I had them on a list, and this is just validation for me that I just keep my fucking head to the grindstone and keep moving, and I'm just proud of what I'm doing with this, and I'm proud of what this has grown. I'm proud of everyone that's listening to this, and I mean, proud is not the right word, but I'm thankful for the people that listen to this, and I know that I'm not even going to say I hope you enjoy it because I know that you will enjoy this one. So, like I said, I'm going to let you guys go now. I'm sorry that this was just a short one this week, but I'm telling you, everything is going to be worth it next week. This whole weekend, me and Bryan are going to kind of just lock ourselves away and work on some awesome video for this. This whole podcast is video recorded, so I'm going to, I don't do video ever. And this was a big decision for me. It's I didn't know if I wanted to do video because I didn't want to put a video out there and have everyone expect me to always have a video, because that ain't going to happen. And I ain't always going to have a video, but this is a big deal. So I figured it was worth it to spend the money and get someone in there to document this. And I was excited about it, and I can't wait because like I said, this weekend we're locking ourselves in. We're going to get some content done, and you could expect a mass, it's going to be like the floodgates next week, because I'm going to be promoting this heavy. So I appreciate it as usual. Next week, we have the Mikey and Bob podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm excited to let yinz hear it. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I don't predate podcasts. I don't like recording things ahead of time, because I feel that I'm someone who's if I get my wife a gift or something like that and I gotta surprise her, it eats at me. If I have a surprise for her and I have to wait and sit on it, it eats at me. I just want to give her the prize. I just want to give her the surprise. And that's what I feel like with this podcast, because it's so good. I was listening through the other night trying to get some talking points and shit like that for the video and everything like that. And I'm just like, God damn it. I didn't expect these dudes to talk to me for more than an hour. 2 hours later, we just got some podcast gold. So I appreciate everyone as always. I'm looking forward to releasing episode 85. And I hope you guys... fuck it. I know you guys are going to enjoy it. Thanks again, and I'll call you right back.